Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, vintage sci-fi and modern classic and lots of crime. It's my weekly wrap-up. So before I get into the normal content for this weekly wrap-up, I just wanted to talk very quickly about a book event I went to this week, which was fantastic. So it was hosted in Chapter 34, which is my local independent bookshop, which is a really, really lovely bookshop. I'll leave a link in the description to the video to their website and to their bookshop. So bookshop.org is a website that you can go and buy books from, like indie bookshops. So it's an online portal for indie bookshops to sell books, across the country. So I'll leave a link to both of those things in the description for the video. But yeah, a really lovely bookshop, and if you're on the south coast of the UK like I am, well worth the trip to check it out. So yes, I went to a fantastic book event there this week, which was about so the title of it is Why Women Read Crime Fiction, basically, and it was two authors, Jo Furniss and Louisa Scarr, who also writes as Sam Holland, talking about their books, so talking about their work, and also talking about the subject of why female readers and female authors enjoy reading and writing crime fiction. So a really interesting discussion. Really interesting to hear about their books. I hadn't until this week read either of them. I've actually read a Jo Furniss book this week. I've read her latest book, and I'll be talking about that in this wrap up. But yeah, certainly Louisa Scarr / Sam Holland's books sound really interesting as well. So I will be checking those out. And as it was a book event, naturally I bought some books. Now I have just finished this week, a couple of days before going to this event, I've finished my Read What You Own challenge. So I have now read 100 books I already own and could therefore buy some new ones. So I bought these at that event. So yes, I bought Dead Mile by Jo Furniss, which I'll talk about in this video because I've read that one now. And then The Echo Man by Sam Holland, which is the first in a series of serial killer thrillers that she's written. And then under her other name, Louisa Scarr, Gallows Wood, which is a detective novel which features a police dog, which is something that immediately appealed to me. So really looking forward to reading both of those. Right, let's get into what I've read this week then. So the first thing I read this week was Space Prison by Tom Godwin. So this was a vintage sci-fi book sent to me by Jamie Court, who's the author of a very strange horror short story, A Puppet Scorned, that I've talked about on the channel before. So this is an erotic horror story about sock puppets. A very strange story. I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed the sequel, The Soxorcist, even more. So if you like the sound of those, check out Jamie's work. But yeah, a while ago he very kindly sent me a copy of this book. This was great. So I hadn't heard of this. It's the first in a series, and by the sound of it, the other books in the series aren't as good. This definitely 100% works as a standalone. So there's a war going on between humanity and this alien race, and it's about a group of people who their spaceship gets taken over by the aliens, and they get marooned on this planet, which is incredibly inhospitable. Like gravity is like 1.5 times that of Earth. There's like a plague that hits them. There's all sorts of weird, nasty creatures and things like that. And it's basically about them trying to survive on this planet. So it's really kind of grueling. It reminded me a bit of like one of those like video games where you have to like survive and manage resources and things like that. It was a bit like that. So yeah, quite grueling, quite bleak for a vintage sci-fi book, but really, really enjoyable. And the ending was fantastic. The way Tom Godwin wraps it all up at the end, I thought was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I enjoyed that very much. And thank you again, Jamie, for sending me that copy. After that, I read a hard case crime book. So this one just about counts for Jello July because it has just got some yellow on the cover, and it's it's in the theme of or in the style of those kind of the kind of mysteries that Mondadori published in Italy under their Giallo line. So yes, an enjoyable mystery. So Richard Aleas is also known. I've forgotten his name now, but he's also the owner and publisher of Hard Case Crime. This is a novel by him. He's written, I think, at least one other novel in this series. So about a detective in New York, and the thing that's interesting about this book is the victim of the crime that he's investigating is someone who he went to high school with and dated in high school. So a young woman he dated in high school. And the book starts with him reading this newspaper story about the fact that she's been murdered and discovering that not only she's been murdered, but she was working as a stripper. So it's about him kind of trying to piece together the bits of her life and figure out how she got there and figure out, what happened to her. So just a really solidly enjoyable mystery novel. I enjoyed that a lot. After that, then, a book that I've been meaning to read for a while. I've seen so many people rave about this book, and I can see why they raved about it. I thought it was fantastic. So that book is Stoner by John Williams. So this is a deceptively simple book. It's a book written in quite a plain prose style about this guy who goes to university in the early years of the 20th century, so just before the First World War starts. And ends up falling in love with learning and academia and becomes an academic. And it's just about his life. But it was so well written, so completely compelling. Despite the fact that nothing particularly interesting happens in this book, I was completely gripped by it. I really, really enjoyed it a lot. I'll be putting up a review video of it in the week ahead. After that, then, another one I read for Yellow July. So this covers off the... I've forgotten the name of the prompt. There was a prompt that was about having a colour in the title. I think it was All the Colours of the Dark was the name of the prompt. And I forgot to say, Yellow July is a reading and watching event this month, hosted by Alex from the Bookish, Kelsey from Slime and Slashers, and Bert from Pastori Time, which encourages you to read the kind of style of books that were published by Mondadori in Italy under their Giallo line, so kind of mysteries, basically, and also to watch Giallo movies. So anyway, yes, getting back to the book. So I read The Red House Mysteries by A.A. Milne. So yes, A.A. Milne, creator of Winnie the Pooh, so a much-loved children's author, but was also a huge fan of mystery novels and wrote this one mystery novel in, I think, either the 20s or, I think it was the 20s it was published. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it so much. So it's a kind of country house style mystery, but starts with this guy arriving at this country house and finding someone banging on the door trying to get in. And when they open the door, there's a dead body in there. And he and another guy who are there kind of team up and try and solve this mystery, which appears to be the murder of a brother by his brother. So two brothers appear to have had an argument and one of them's been murdered, and that's the body they find in this locked room. It was really, really entertaining. And it had that kind of playfulness that Golden Age mystery often has, which I was kind of thinking about a bit. And I may do a review video on the Red House Mystery where I talk about it a bit more. But this sense that it's all a bit of a game and they're just, they're investigating this terrible crime, like a horrible crime, but they're investigating it and having a great time investigating it. So it's kind of a bit of a weird setup, but a fantastically enjoyable book. I particularly enjoyed the ending of it. Like the way the mystery all comes together at the end was really well handled, but it was just fun. And it did at times, I was thinking about the fact that Milne was, is best known as a children's author. It did at times feel like a kid's book in terms of that kind of playfulness and the fact that everything just feels a bit like a game. So yeah, a really enjoyable classic mystery. After that then, I read Dead Mile by Joe Furniss, which I've kind of already mentioned a bit briefly in this video. I really enjoyed this. It's got such a great concept that it's hard not to fall in love with it. So the concept is it's like a locked room style murder mystery, but set in a traffic jam. So the locked room in question is a car that's stuck in this traffic jam. So it's about this female police officer who's kind of travelling home and gets caught up in this traffic jam and then realises that the person in the car in front of her has been murdered. Actually, I don't think it's the car in front of her. A car near her has been murdered. And everyone's stuck in this traffic jam and she investigates and tries to figure out what's going on. Just a really fun concept, really engagingly written. Again, I will do a review of this because I've got some things to say about it. But yeah, just a really fun summer read. It's just come out. I think it was published early July. But I can see this being a big hit this summer. It was a fun read and does work for Yellow July because it's got a threatening word in the title, which was one of the prompts, and also yellow on the cover. So yes, that's what I've read this week so far. I'm currently reading The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher, which I'm doing a buddy read of with one of my patrons, Joachim. That's really good, really enjoying it. It's got a fantastic narrator. So it's got quite a kind of classic horror setup. So this woman, the narrator, has to go to her grandmother's house, which is in the middle of nowhere, and clear it out because her grandmother's passed away. Lots of creepy stuff is kind of starting to creep into the story. I'm about 25% of the way through. But the thing that really makes it is the narrator. The narrator is just really engaging and fun to read. So yeah, enjoying that very much. And I'm also reading with Anne from the channel Anne Novella, Found in the Street by Patricia Highsmith, which is part of our ongoing mission to read all of Patricia Highsmith's books. So I just started that this morning and it's really entertaining. I'm really enjoying it so far. So it's about this guy in, I think it's in New York again, discovers a wallet in the street, finds out who it belongs to and returns it to the owner. But there's clearly something more going on. We don't quite know what it is yet. We've met both of the characters. We've met the owner. We've met the guy who finds the wallet, and it's, you know, things are starting to kind of build up. So yeah, enjoying that very much indeed. Right, so that's what I have read this week. As I said, I have now finished my 100 book challenge, and that feels good, to be honest with you. So as you may remember, I started the 100 book challenge in November. Finished it in January and then immediately decided to do another one. And the 100 book challenge, or read what your own challenge, is that you read a set number of books, in my case 100, but you can decide that before you can buy any new ones. It's taken me a lot longer to do it second time around. And I'll probably make a video about that, reflecting on it, but basically because I gave myself loads of caveats, so I ended up reading loads of books that didn't count towards that 100 book total. So yes, I'm glad to have finished it, and yeah, I'll reflect on that and put up a video with some thoughts at some point. So yes, in terms of videos then, stuff you can see on the channel. So in the week that's just gone, you've had a video comparing the Kobo Libre Colour and the books Go Colour 7, two quite similar ink devices that people had asked me to do a comparison of. I've launched a new reading challenge that I'm doing, which I've stolen from Mark Hodder, the author, who posted it on Instagram. So that is the My Novel Life Challenge. So I've got a video about that. People seem to be really interested in that. A lot of people have said, this sounds like a really fun idea, I'm going to do it too. I've created a channel, I was asked to create a channel on my Discord server for people who are doing that challenge to discuss it. So if you fancy doing it, and you want to hop on my Discord and discuss it, you can do that. There'll be a link, as always, to my Discord server in the description for the video. But the concept of the challenge is you read a book for every year you've been alive in chronological order. You can't repeat any authors. They all have to be novels. You can't do rereads. I think that's it. But yeah, basically, you read a book for every year you've been alive. You've also had this week then my review of That Which Stands Outside by Mark Morris, which comes out in the week ahead. So it comes out on Tuesday. Fantastic folk horror novel. Really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, watch my review if you want more details. But as always, no spoilers in that review. And then you've also had my June wrap-up video where I talk about all the books I read in June, which was quite a lot of books because I had a holiday in June. In the week ahead then, so as I've said, a review of Stoner by John Williams, where I talk about the book, but I also talk about the publishing history of this book, which is quite interesting, and what that tells us about the publishing industry. I've done the mid-year book freakout tag, which is a kind of a booktube tag that you do at this time of year, reflecting on the first 6 months of the year and how your reading's gone. I've done another video about Garb August, which will be going up this week, talking about things like talking a bit more about the bingo card, talking about the Garbology, the book that we're publishing, and also giving some host recommendations from me. So all of the hosts will be giving recommendations for books and movies you might enjoy. So I've got a couple in that video should you fancy reading a book I recommend and watching a movie I recommend. And then I've also got a video I've been planning to do for ages, which ended up being very long. I think it's 45 minutes long, but it's a disturbing books tier list. So tier ranking 77 disturbing books that I've read. So yeah, look out for that if you're a fan of disturbing books. Anyway, I will leave it there. I'll leave you to your weekends. Let me know what you've been reading this week. Let me know if you've read any of the books I talked about. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.